From the heart of your nation's capital to the shores of the Empire State, this is the Patriot Report. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to my global audience. Walter Cotton back at you with another installment of my Patriot Report. Again, we are hyper-focused on the war or peace report in this particular series. And I got some great news to share for you, or I got some great news to share with you. Many of you have been paying attention to the campaign that I am assisting with, and that is the campaign that my good friend, the Honorable Bill Elmore, asked me to join him in trying to see if we could correct an egregious wrong, which was the omission or elimination of the non-disabled veteran business community from a contracting program with the federal government. The good news that I have to share with you is that it appears that Congress shares Bill's sentiment. And if I could, let me go ahead and share my screen and give you a empirical example of what Congress has done, because Congress has recently introduced a bill, HR 7401. And as you can see, it was introduced on the 15th of February. And to date, the action on the bill is that it has been submitted, it's been referred to the Armed Services Committee for consideration. Now, I'm coming to you because I know that we, the people, have the power to influence these actions. And our influence in this particular instance is going to help us expedite the movement of this bill from its current state into a law. And I'm taking a page from the A. Philip Randolph book. You guys may or may not know A. Philip Randolph actually went to FDR, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, during the run-up to the mobilization for World War II. And he asked the president to help him with a dilemma that he was experiencing. And that dilemma was based on the fact that 75% of the defense contractors were not hiring minorities in their firms. And he wanted FDR to take some action in that particular regard. And FDR said, listen, to A. Philip Randolph, man, I understand what you're experiencing. And as a matter of fact, I agree that this is a egregious error. But in order for you to get my good office to support your interest, you're going to have to go out and make me do it. And what FDR was telling A. Philip Randolph is that he needed to mobilize a demonstration of a constituent base that is the fuel that our politicians use to justify the president taking any action. Well, A. Philip Randolph did that. He brought a demonstration to the president that was immutable, it was unavoidable. And as a result of that action, the president issued Executive Order 8802. You can go research that executive order right now. The language is still out there in the public domain. And that bill, or should I say that executive order, was designed to help FDR, not FDR, but A. Philip Randolph achieve his goal. In the area that we're talking about right here, we are going to have to help our good congressmen, those that were forward leaning, get the momentum that they need to achieve the goal. And I'm saying that because of the rich history that I enjoy in similarly situated actions. For those of you who don't know, my history with the Disabled Veteran Contracting Initiative goes back to circa 1999, right? And that was when we had a yeoman piece of legislation put in place for the veteran community at large in the form of Public Law 10650. The challenge with that law was that it wasn't clearly constructed, and as a result, as it went from passage to implementation, there were some derailments, there were some distractions along the way. Like, for example, the contracting community would not accept the plain language in Public Law 10650 because it did nothing to influence the Bible that they use to make their contracting decisions, which is the Federal Acquisition Regulation, meaning the law was written without giving them the tools that the contracting community was accustomed to using to reach preference owning organizations. So we had to promulgate and get approved and passed in an expeditious way Public Law 108183. And that piece of legislation actually put the tool language in the FAR. It put the tool language in the Code of Federal Regulation that made it immutable to the contracting community in terms of what the intentions of Congress were. And you can look along this timeline as it talks about all of the other actions that we had to interface with in order to create the contracting environment that we use to achieve the 3% goal for the disabled veteran, including the effort that we had to put in surrounding Public Law 109461, which many of you know as the Veterans First Law, and many of you know that we had to battle with the Veterans Administration, right? An agency that owns our surname all the way up to the Supreme Court to get them to comply. In this particular instance, I think we're going to have to employ a similar people driven action because power succeeds nothing without a demand. And given the fact that we have this wonderful legislation that has been written, it is not going to get there from here without some support from people like you and me. And specifically, we have to motivate, dare I say, compel our congressional stakeholders to get involved. We are making it easy for you to support that particular effort by the development and deployment of this particular web portal. And through this web portal, you can educate yourself on the movement to create a contracting program for veteran owned small businesses, what our expectations and intentions are, as well as get to know the stakeholders who are driving this effort. This portal contains video information that you can review at your leisure, again, to understand what our strategies and philosophies are. But the most important thing that this portal provides for you is access to a form letter that you can simply click a button here or click a button there and download onto your computer, edit, and then send over to your congressional representative asking them for assistance. And let me show you, what that looks like in action, right? The download just took place. Here's the document right here. I go ahead and open it up and very simply put, all you have to do is color by the numbers or fill in the blanks. And now you will have a letter that is professionally addressed to your congressional representative. And I say congressional representative because this is a House and Senate action, right? So I want you to send this to your representative in the House as well as your representative in the Senate and ask them to support this right minded effort to expedite the passage of, and I'm highlighting it here, to create a contracting program for veterans and what it would do for this great nation in the event that we implement this particular action. Folks, if we get together, and let me stop sharing this thing so that I can talk to you directly again, and deliver this full and deep throated request to Congress, um, I can guarantee you, just based on my actions or efforts with similarly situated lawmaking actions, that we will get this job accomplished this fiscal year. If we don't, we're going to get a bunch of excuses out of our Congress about how other priorities came in and usurped the needs of him and her who bore the battle. So if you're smelling what I'm cooking here, please surf out to the URL that you see on the screen. Familiarize yourself with the call to action that we need you to send in to your congressional representative and do so. I'm going to come back frequently as a part of our Patriot Report and provide you updates on how we're progressing, right? How we're doing in terms of making sure that you have the opportunity or you have the ability to more fully participate in the American dream. And for those of you who send me an email with a heads up on, your effort to compel. That's the word I want to use. Your congressional representative to participate, and we identified their participation. I'm going to give you a shout out. More importantly, I'm going to bring you on one of our future Patriot reports to have a conversation with you about what it is you were thinking when you put that letter together. Said another way, I want to know what the Witham is for you. Like, are you a veteran owned small business that's out there struggling in the commercial sector and would benefit by having access to that more than $600 billion that the federal government spends on an annual basis? What is your motivation for participating in this process? I want to know. And we will highlight your business here on the Patriot Report. So this is a quid pro quo, right? You take the action necessary to help us realize the dream expeditiously, and I will give you and your business a shout out. What do I want to close with? I want to close by reminding you of a consideration that I put in an article that I recently wrote on this particular subject. And the consideration that I spoke of is your need as a veteran owned business to get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready for the enormous wealth transfer that's going to result from this action. And I'm saying that because of the experiential learning that I acquired during the run up to the attainment of the goal under Public Law 10650, right? People thought we were never going to be able to get that 3% goal accomplished for disabled veterans. Well, we did it in such an efficient fashion and such a short, a truncated period of time that Congress saw it in their wisdom to reward that small cadre of brothers that pushed that needle by expanding, increasing the service disabled veteran contracting percentage from 3% to 5%. And so, for those of you who are veteran owned businesses that are within the sound of my voice, you need to get ready for the opportunity that's going to be presented to you in the not too distant future. And you can get ready by doing two things. First, making sure that your enterprise, your organization is contract viable in the federal contracting space. The second thing that you can do is ensure that your organization is contract ready. And I said that backwards. That's my dyslexia jumping up on the screen. You first got to be contract ready, and then you got to be contract viable in order to proactively prepare yourself to take advantage of the billions of dollars, dare I say trillions of dollars, in opportunities that are going to be made available. I'm going to do a deeper dive in that contract ready, contract viable space in future Patriot reports, and I'm going to quantify it for you. I'm going to quantify what's in it for you to make sure that you are razor sharp and tiger tough as this bill becomes a law. But for right now, what I need every red blooded patriot that's within the sound of my voice to do, I need you to surf out to that website. The URL is passing across the screen right now. I need you to take that letter, download it, address it to your congressional representative, and ask them to support the expeditious passage of HR 7401. If you do that, you will be forever changing the economic trajectory of your family and the future generations of your family. But more importantly, you will be making the greatest contribution that you can make to the national security industrial base in these United States, and thus fortifying the security of this great nation. Well, folks, that's about all I have for this installment of my Patriot Report. Stay tuned because I'm going to be coming back frequently and often with updates on how Congress is doing with this very worthy legislation. Until next time, this is Walter Cotton saying, I'm out.